We get huge reports that Jeff Skinner shut down multiple offers to join the Edmonton Oilers from teams that were offering more money as well, including the Toronto Maple Leafs, which is his hometown team. And we get a huge update out of Ottawa that they signed forward Shane Pinto, and this is shaping up to be an incredible offseason for them. We'll get into all this later on this episode. Before I start, I just want to give a shout out to the 3,700 of you guys that are subscribed. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to go down and hit that subscribe button. We'll be here all offseason in the next season giving you updates from all around the league. So you definitely don't want to miss another episode, but we'll get straight into the first topic today, which is Jeff Skinner rejects the Leafs offer, including other offers as well. So we got a snippet from the Chris Johnson show today, and he said, but he was going there to Edmonton to win. I mean, he could have signed for 1 year, $3 million in about 10 spots. I know the Leafs are among the teams that had talked to him and were trying to pitch him an idea. Hey, you can play alongside Austin Matthews. You can play with Mitch Marner on our team. Obviously, Jeff Skinner said no. I'd rather go play with Connor McDavid, who just made the Stanley Cup Finals, forced to Game 7, ultimately losing. But Jeff Skinner seen this and he wants to join the McDavid effect. Now, obviously, Jeff Skinner was a guy that was just bought out by the Buffalo Sabres. He had quite a long contract, making $9 million per season. And we can just see the cap buyout for a guy like Jeff Skinner coming off where each year it goes from 2.5, 2.5, and you can work your way down. The cap hit is 1.4, 4.4, 6.4, 2.4, 2.4, and 2.4. This is a long buyout. This is 6 years, but it seemed like the Buffalo Sabres wanted to move on from Jeff Skinner after he couldn't really get things done in Buffalo, and they wanted to use the cap elsewhere. Now, the biggest thing with Jeff Skinner, he is a bit of an underrated pickup for the Edmonton Oilers, and a lot of teams clearly wanted him. As you could see from this, that 10 spots were offering him a $3 million or more in the range of getting him on the team, and Jeff Skinner brings a lot more than teams are expecting. Now, obviously, Jeff Skinner signed the contract in the Oilers organization for $3 million on a 1-year deal. This is a great contract for a guy like Jeff Skinner, and I know a lot of people are going to say, hey, this guy's not a playoff performer. He's never been in the playoffs, so he can't be a performer. But the biggest thing is we don't know what Jeff's going to be like in the playoffs, and unlocking a certain potential with this guy within the Oilers organization with high-end talent like Zach Hyman, who just netted a career high in goals. A guy like Connor McDavid, who had 100 assists. Leon Draisaitl, RNH. There's so many forwards on this team that can help elevate Skinner's game like he's never really had before. Now, when you're looking at Jeff Skinner, he came off a season with Buffalo where he bounced around the lineup from top line, middle six, bottom six. We've seen him on the fourth line with the Sabres organization. But Jeff Skinner at the age of 32 has yet to play a playoff game, and you can tell that he's hungry. Hence why he joined the Oilers. When you're looking at Jeff Skinner's production, 24 goals, 22 assists, 48 points, or 46 points in this past season. A 24 goal score is not easy to just come along. This is a guy that knows how to put the puck in the back of the net. When you put him on a team with people that can pass, it makes it even better. I'm predicting that Jeff Skinner joins this Oilers organization, and we might see him hit that 35 to 40 like he did back in 2018-19 with the Buffalo Sabres, which was fetching him this $9 million contract. Obviously, he's not in his prime years right now. Obviously, he's at the tail end of his prime years, if you want to put it this way. His defensive game is not going to be something that you want to talk about, but offensively, Jeff Skinner fits his team perfectly. Having that elite setup man in Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid. I can go through this list. Evan Bouchard, who had the record for, I believe, most points in a run for the Edmonton Oilers or by a defenseman. This team is primed to make another run. Their odds continue to skyrocket with the change of the Oilers and make, like adding a guy like Jeff Skinner, a former 40 goal scorer. Things are looking good for Edmonton, and I truly do think, and it hurts to say as a fan of the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Vancouver Canucks, but the Oilers look like they're primed to make another run, and honestly, I'm here for it. We want to see a cup in Canada. Obviously, I'd love to see it on one of the teams I cheer for, but with the Oilers, fans, you guys are going to like Jeff Skinner. I was hoping Jeff Skinner joined the Canucks or the Leafs, but they did end up getting him. What would you guys' thoughts on Jeff Skinner joining the Edmonton Oilers? What do you think his plateau is? Do you think he can hit maybe 40 goals again? Could we see a 90-point season out of Jeff Skinner for the first time in his career? Let me know down in the comments. And with that, we'll get straight into the second topic today. And this is a full Canadian video here today. Shane Pinto extended. Now, obviously, Shane Pinto was a piece. The Edmonton Oilers, Ottawa Senators had to figure out. We've seen rumors going around that he wanted to be moved. He wanted to find out his spot in this organization. But we've seen that he was signed to a 2-year contract, $7.5 million. It works out to $3.75 million AAV. And I think this is an incredible pickup, and it just continues on the dominant offseason that the Edmonton Oilers are having. Shane Pinto was a guy that obviously was suspended for a few games last season, but Shane Pinto is a young piece that's coming up, and I think it's going to be big. It's even bigger that this contract expires, keeping him as an RFA. So the Sens continue to hold his rights. They're going to keep him no matter what. You still have his rights at the end of this deal, and you keep this guy on a bridge deal to let him prove himself, let him prove to this organization he can be a top 6 center for you. He can dominate, and just let him show what he's worth within this team. Obviously, we don't have signing bonuses, but the cap hit does stay the same regardless, and that is $3.75 million. Now, when you do look at Pinto, he had a productive season. We've seen in 2022, 2023, Shane Pinto in 82 games had 20 goals, 15 assists for 35 points. He took the next leap. In 41 games, he had 9 goals, 18 assists for 27 points. On this, he was on pace for having a 50-plus point season, especially where it took him some time to get his footing back after the suspension. But having this guy in at a full rate, he looked like he could have put up 60 points, maybe 20 to 25 goals, and on top of that, the 30 to 35 assists. I think Shane Pinto's primed to have a huge year next year, and I think the Oilers were... the Sens, I just did the Oilers. Sorry about that, Sens fans. The Sens are in the perfect situation to really take that next step. Now, with the Senators, obviously, they've had a busy offseason. They went out and got their starting goaltender in Linus Ullmark. They've moved some pieces around. We've seen the Sens team trade people. We've seen them pick up guys like David Perron. But just looking at this team as a whole, this team looks young, promising, ready to make that jump, to make the jump back into the playoffs. This could be a wild card spot. They could win the division. It's honestly up in the air right now, but things look great. Just looking at their center depth, Tim Stützle, they still have Josh Norris, they still have Pinto. Looking at the defenseman, Sandstrom looks great on his new extension. We see how this team is so promising. And honestly, it's going to be a great year just to be a fan of Canadian teams. Being from Canada, watching these new up-and-coming teams make that next jump. I mean, you look at this roster, things are going to change. But at this very moment, in my eyes, this Sens team does look like they're going to compete. I would love to see every Canadian team make the playoffs, and just hopefully make 2 Canadian teams in the finals would be even more exciting. But Sens fans, what's your thoughts on the Shane Pinto deal? What's your expectations on the next coming season? Let me know down in the comments. And speaking of comments, let's get into everyone's favorite topic, which is comment of the day. The comment today comes from Mark, and he says, he's got it all, man. Great leader. He wants what his dad didn't get, the cup. Now, obviously, this was coming after Max Domi signed, which was a really similar contract to a guy like Shane Pinto. But it would be awesome to see a Canadian team win a cup. I agree with you, Mark. And just overall, what's everyone's thoughts on all these Canadian teams coming up? What team do you think's going to surprise you the most? What's your thoughts on your free agency so far with your favorite team? Let me know down in the comments while you're down there. Leave a like, share this with your friends. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. We're trying to reach 4,000 by the end of free agency. And I've been your host, Mark. Bye. Take care.